League right here on VirtualRacing.Network. You're watching live as we get set for another awesome afternoon of action with the gang here at the Virtual Texas Motor Speedway. It's round 8 of 12. Going to be doing 126 laps of high-flying action around the D-shaped oval here in Texas. It's 1.44 miles of goodness, and it always produces awesome action. It's such a pleasure to have everybody joining us from around the world via YouTube on our channel. So make sure, if you're enjoying this kind of IndyCar action here on VirtualRacing.Network, you go ahead and, as we see one of the competitors spinning out on track in the last moments of practice here, as we get set to do some qualifying, make sure you subscribe to the channel VirtualRacing.Network on YouTube, as well as like us. We're also launching our Twitter channel, and that will be down in the description. You can click on over. Also going to be on Facebook, so if you're on either one of those platforms, make sure to join us there. So we can go ahead and take a look at the last moments of practice, and you'll see a very familiar name at the top of the order. It's Jason Lowe. And so we're just going to be waiting here the last 20 seconds or so until we get set with qualifying. But today is the Miguel Macias Senior Memorial 190 presented by Stick Quick. And this is a special day to remember a special man, part of the extended Stick Quick family, and very happy to be able to carry his name on today's race. Again, last season, the end of last season, the final race was Texas from season 10. That was quite exciting. We did do that coverage right here on VirtualRacing.Network. So if you get curious, you can actually go back and find that race on our channel. So we get set for qualifying to get going here. These drivers do head out on track very quickly, so we're going to try to get to the action as we see Graham Bunyan now heading straight out onto the track for the first of his 2 qualifying laps. Also see James Kennedy out there. Now, we do have something to bring up today that is unfortunate. One of our regular competitors, Richard Kelbaugh, who is, again, part of the Stick Quick family. We were hoping to be able to talk to him here on VirtualRacing.Network about Stick Quick a little bit, but basically he's in the hospital today. So our best wishes are for Rick. He's one of our competitors that's here every week in the league, and so our warmest, heartfelt sympathies are with he and his family as they get through their trying times in the hospital. But we hope for a speedy recovery, and we hope to see him back on track as soon as possible. I know he will be missed on track, and these drivers all thinking of him as we go around the track today. So it's first up on track, James Kennedy to the lead, to the pole with a 24.22. Not really a big surprise there as we're watching on board with Graham Bunyan as he finishes his second lap. Can he do it? Does he go to the top? He does, a 24.11. Will Kennedy do the same on his second lap? No, he cannot. We watch Dan Enches. He finishes his second lap. He cannot, he does improve. He takes second place there at the last moment from James Kennedy. David Zalesky going on his second lap. Will he improve as Ryan Bowles slots himself into fourth? He does improve. David Zalesky does, just up into fourth. So we see Ryan Bowles on his cool down lap, Jason Lowe on his cool down lap, as well as Howard Livingston. We got Rick Lovison on his second lap out on track. We'll see if he can manage to pull up a little bit higher than his 8th place currently. And he does. He moves up into 7th with his second lap. And here we can see Will Stearns on his cool down lap. Jeff Murray completing his second lap. Does he go any higher? He does. He moves up into 7th place. So to start our race today, it looks like, well, I know nobody is going to be surprised out there, I'm sure. But, yep, it's Graham Bunyan. That's the very familiar name at the top. second, Dan Enge, third, Kennedy, fourth, David Zalesky. So we wait for this to go official, and we'll bring you the starting lineup here. But before we do that, we had our resident co-commentator frequently, Matt A. Kingsbury, join us to do, actually, he went out on track and he, by himself, did some laps, and so he's going to give us a little preview of what to expect from a quick lap around the track. You got to listen carefully. It's a very quick lap. Here we go.
Welcome to the virtual Texas Motor Speedway. You're going to take a lap around the quarter. This is the old circuit, not the current new pavement. So we're going to want to be hitting the white line all the way around the corner. Taking fairly narrow entries to minimize the distance we have to travel, but everything exits are the same. Pretty fast lap. We're going to average about 210 miles per hour, so we're going to be very careful not to clip the white line. If doing so, we'll upset the car and could result in spinning out.
So there, as you saw, as I mentioned, extremely quick around this track. It is so fast, everything moving by so very quickly. And there, actually, we have Inigo Mardones. I didn't see him take to the track, but with his second lap, manages to pull himself up into 6th place, so a great starting position for Inigo. And Inigo has been making all kinds of great inroads here in the series as of late, appearing up in the top 5, mixing it up in the top 3 positions for several races, so we look to see some more out of Inigo. So again, just the last moments of qualifying here. In the qualifying session, most drivers electing to go early in the session because, as you can see, they're 126 degrees, and now looks like 122 degrees to start today's race. We're going to take a look at the starting grid for today's race. We can get the rest of the junk off the screen. There we go. So you can see Graham Bunyan on the pole with a 24.114 fast time for him, with Dan Enge starting second. Don't count Dan out when he is this fast on track, folks. Let me tell you, he is something to behold. Dan knows how to get it done, so look for him to mix it up, at least depending on how much fuel strategy that we're doing out there today. Could be almost anybody's game, about almost anybody's race. So we get ready for the drivers as they're heading out to grid up, and we look at the rest of the starting grid. We got Dan Enge second, James Kennedy, David Zalesky making his return to the series. So happy to have him back after skipping Gateway. Ryan Bowles in 5th place, a third row of the grid. Inigo Mardones starting outside. Then we've got Howard Livingston and Jeff Murray, Rick Lovison and Will Stearns, Jason Lowe and Mike West. And there, Manuel Gomez Esteban last did not set a time. And also Mike West did not set a time. So for them, they will not be starting anywhere other than the very back. So what does it look like from back there? Well, as we can see these two getting rolling, why don't we take a look? We have a full pace lap here. Why not? Now, Texas, as you can imagine, we'll just go over some key points here as we get ready for the race to begin. But Texas is one of those tracks that you do not need to start from the front. That is for certain. This is a drafting track. Many of these cars will be able to draft back up from over a second behind and be able to catch up to the front. So what we will see most likely is a lot of very, very close action on track, as these drivers are going to be pretty much locked in a draft for the entirety of this race. 125 degrees with just a 2-mile-an-hour breeze out there, 125 degrees track temperature. This is going to be a scorcher today. May burn off some of those tires. We don't typically see that in this series, so we look to see maybe something a little different. As Graham Bunyan heads us to the green flag, Dan Ench on the outside in the owls.org car. We're set for 126 laps of action as we file in here. James Kennedy already moving forward past David Zalesky into third, now hounding the back of Dan Ench for second as they come out of 2. It's still Bunyan leading Ench and Kennedy with Zalesky, and then Ryan Bowles in 5th place. Top 6 still unchanged as we start lap 2 here. Still remaining in formation as we see Dan Ench moving to the front. That's the first time we have said that, perhaps this season, at least during green flag. But Dan Ench has moved to the front, and we can see a little bit more action just a little bit further back. It's Zalesky battling with Bowles just behind. It's Zalesky to the inside of James Kennedy. That's for 3rd position. Bowles sticking to the outside. Zalesky stays on the inside. Move him up into 3rd. Meanwhile, just behind, James Kennedy still riding the outside, looking for speed on the outside. Can't find it. But he stays a strong 3rd. We watch this pack continue. We can see Ryan Bowles now moving to the inside. Not quite able to get that done. And still staying side by side as we head into turn 3. This time Bowles pulling just ahead. So Murray now working on Kennedy. Murray is not somebody that we've been calling up at the front. It's good to see him having a good run. Up 3 spots, move him up into the top 5. So great run shaping up for Jeff Murray. You can see Zalesky just ahead has his mirrors filled with Ryan Bowles. So these drivers already perhaps going to the weight jacker, perhaps going to some of the ARB tricks. As Bowles looks to the outside and Murray pulls to the inside in turn 3. Murray keeps his position, moves into 4th. This is up 4 positions for Jeff Murray, who keeps creeping closer and closer to the front. Meanwhile, at the front, it's Dan Ench. Now, this is one of those places where Dan has gotten his point for leading a lap. Perhaps he wants to get a bonus point for leading 2 laps. So we can see Jeff Murray in 3rd, moving forward quickly. But to finish Dan Ench, that is not going to be the traditional place that we see Dan Ench. Dan usually right about where Graham Bunyan or one of these other drivers is, lifting his foot out of the throttle and saving fuel. But you can't really do that at the very front. So in clean air, as to explain this, in clean air, like you would be if you're the leader or if you're off the back, but there's nobody directly in front of you, like maybe more than a second, you're going to burn more fuel and there's more drag on the front of your car. If you follow behind somebody, there's less drag, less air drag hitting your car, and when you are able to do that, you actually go faster than you would by yourself. That's called drafting. So you take your foot out of the throttle and that saves fuel. It's the same thing as in your passenger car. You can follow behind a semi, take your foot out of the throttle, and actually save fuel. The only 2 considerations ever to that sort of strategy is we watch Ryan Bowles and David Zalesky now battle, or I'm sorry, Ryan Bowles and James Kennedy battle it out. The only challenge to that is if you do a lot of that kind of thing and you happen to have a very hot day, you could overheat the engine. And we're not expecting that. These drivers probably not running too aggressive of grill tape on there that might overheat the engine, as we see this get very, very close between James Kennedy and Ryan Bowles. Ryan Bowles now drifting back into the clutches of Inigo Mardones, who's in 7th. And of course, the other issue when you're drafting, when you're following another driver, is simply it's just more difficult to follow. The push coming, the aero push as it's known, coming off of these cars is quite extensive. So very difficult to place your car. Sometimes tears up the tires a little bit more, sometimes a little bit less. So getting to practice and feel out that draft is so crucial. It's definitely a whole different thing. You could go out there and run these IR18 Indy cars all day in testing, but until you get into a pack with 10, 12 cars and you feel that aero push, it is real. That aero push, you go into a corner, it just wants to jockey your car right up the track. We'll watch on board here with Jeff Murray as he works the inside left corner on David Zalesky, not able to do it, exiting 4, works the inside here. So you can see as he crosses up the track, he's going to be getting a lot of push, a lot of understeer. That's why he positions the car to the inside. That way he gets much more clean air. He gets the run off the corner. They're side by side, folks. That's why we can't see them. And there Murray ducks back in behind Zalesky. But it's a tricky thing to deal with, that aero push, and the best have mastered it. That's what that's all about. The very best up at the front. Graham Bunyan, Dan Ench has been at this for a long time. David Zalesky. These drivers really showing that they know what to do. However, one driver that is experiencing issues, dropping backwards quickly, is Ryan Bowles. Not somebody that we expected. He has been in the races that we've seen him in the league. He's acquitted himself extremely well. So not sure what's going on with Ryan. Perhaps the tires not working to his liking, or perhaps not getting the use of the tools as well as everyone else. But he's lost 5 spots from where he started. Just behind Rick Levison. So Rick trying to bring up the rear and hang on to that car. Stay in the draft. Who knows? Possibly doing some heavy fuel saving with the fuel map, but easier to fuel save by not just using the fuel mapping alone. You definitely, that is one way to fuel save for sure, but hanging in that draft and being able to lift your foot out of the throttle is also another key way to do it. Here's on board with Mike West, fellow Northwest driver out of Yakima, Washington. I'm up here in the Northwest too, Mike. Just over the hill from you. Expecting some hot days here in the middle of summer. As we start lap 21, we got also Manuel Gomez Esteban about a second off of that pack in front. Everybody's still on the lead lap here. Everybody's still within 7 seconds, to be honest. So 7 seconds in 22 laps of green flag action as we see Ryan Bowles getting really high on the track there. I am not sure what is going on with Ryan Bowles, but this is not boding well for the driver. And there we see Jason Lowe entering the pits. Looks like a normal pit stop. Oh no, it is not a normal pit stop. There he's gone flying over the infield. Looks like he got it a little wrong. Let's go back and look. I was just going to mention, we didn't look at the top of the broadcast. We did not look at the points, but Jason Lowe is fighting for points, so he has slid back at this point while we were watching another battle, and Lowe not able to contain the car. It did say he went into the pits, and of course that is because it triggered him into the pits. Now we see Ryan Bowles has come into the pits as well. So there he's sitting. Let's see if any of these cameras shows us Ryan Bowles in the pits. There we go. We got 40 cameramen. None of them can show us what we want to see. But Bowles now sitting in the pits. Not sure if he had damage. Not sure what exactly caused it. We can take a look. Maybe this will show us, perhaps. Looks like Ryan entering the pits very slowly there. So, not really sure, but he very easily could have sustained damage. I do not see any incidents. I do see an incident for Jason Lowe, however. Now, that was because he went across the grass, and that actually triggered him to be counted as entering the pits unsafely. So he would have needed to serve a black flag penalty for that, and that is why he came back into the pits, had to serve that penalty, is now back out there. But your series defending champion once again having an issue today. Now a lap down after those pit stops and that mistake. And Jason Lowe sitting in second in the points at the moment, but perhaps, you know, he'll need a yellow flag to maybe straighten this out for him. He can still get back on the lead lap. It's not too much damage here as we see this battle for the lead. It's Dan Ench with Graham Bunyan just behind. And I'll tell you what, this is the type of strategy that I think would get Matt Kingsbury excited if he were here with me in the booth. Because, you know, this is Dan being aggressive. This is Dan doing what he doesn't normally do. He doesn't normally go out there and lead and say, come on, Graham, keep up with me. Dan's, as I mentioned before, he's usually sitting just behind and playing the fuel save game, which is undoubtedly what Graham Bunyan's doing at the moment. But Dan is making Graham have to work hard because, you know, essentially by doing this strategy of running as hard as you can off the front, you can see it's starting to pay off for Dan. You've got Graham trying to hang on. That makes Graham have to go faster. It makes Graham have to speed up more and use more fuel. So whatever fuel savings that Graham is getting or wants to do, it won't be as much because Dan is going, you know, full blast. So then you've got David Zalesky, who's now slid 1.3 seconds back of this battle. So if they can break the draft to Zalesky, this strategy is actually quite brilliant for Dan, depending on whether he needs that extra lap or so that he would get from the drafting or fuel saving. And again, he could get that maybe at the end of the race because of a caution. So we look up ahead and we see Bunyan kind of diving a little low on Dan. I wasn't sure if he's going to go for it, but I can tell that Bunyan is just kind of sitting back and waiting his opportunity. So what we're waiting for now is to see whether there will be a caution or whether one of our front leading drivers is going to pit. We see Bunyan content to sit in second up there. And it looks like Zalesky's now pulled himself another 2/10, 3/10 back into the battle in front. So he has not been left thus far. Just behind, Jeff Murray having a great run. So it's great to see David Zalesky back in the series. Really missed him last week at Gateway. I think he could have challenged that possibly as a track for a David Zalesky, but we'll have to see if he picks up the track for next season, because I think it's a track he could do well at. But Jeff Murray here, really doing well here in Texas. racing out of New Concord, Ohio. And Murray just looking great out there, keeping it clean, still in the draft of the leaders, up 4 positions. We take a look at Inigo Mardones, who's up a position, running in 5th, top 5. This is getting to be new territory for Inigo. I was told ahead of the season there's a couple of drivers to really watch out for. This is definitely one of them. Inigo Mardones, mark that name. We will be seeing him up in the top 3 before too long. James Kennedy was up in the mix earlier, but he's drifted back to 6, minus 3 positions for the day thus far, to see if he can pull something magical out of the hat and get that car back up there. But he has drifted close to 3.5 seconds off of the lead. Howard Livingston also drifting a little off the lead in the Care Camps machine. Of course, Howard, musician down in Florida, doing so much great work with the Coconut Castaways and Care Camps. Talked about them earlier on in the season at Indy for that special race. Will Stearns now up 2 spots. Will has had such an up and down season, and now we can see Dan Ench into the pits. Sorry to pull away so quickly, but we don't want to miss it. You can see Dan making that long pit road approach. Dan into his pit box. As you can see, Ryan Bowles there still on pit road. Looks like Ryan's day is done. He's now 8 laps down as Dan Ench circulates and makes it back out onto the track. So we'll throw the track map up so that we can all tell where everybody's at. And take a look over in the chat room. We got a few people watching us this morning. Appreciate it. Thank you so much for joining us over here on VirtualRacing.Network as we're enjoying our 8th of 12 round for Season 11. It's been an awesome journey thus far. It's pretty much been the Graham Bunyan show this season, but, you know, Mr. Bunyan has shown some vulnerability. He's leading the points by a lot, so it's a very good chance that if he can keep this type of pace up for the rest of at least this race, he may have this series championship already in the bag. That's how far out of reach it's getting. It's not official for a while. Howard Livingston moving into 2nd. Jeff Murray on pit road. Inigo Mardones also in the pits just behind. So Murray pulling into his pit box, and we see Bunyan now pulling onto pit road. Will he make it safely? Looks like he does, no problem at all. Makes that pit speed limit. You saw it there in the lower right-hand corner. He was down to 52 miles an hour, and I believe it's 55 on pit road, so plenty good. So we watch that track map. You can see where everybody is cycling around. So Graham Bunyan now into the pits, but we've got Mike West continuing. He must have done some really good fuel saving there. So, of course, even with that fuel savings, Mike, if he were to pit now, would not be able to make it on just one more stop. Lap 45, 46, you're looking at roughly lap 92. They'll be coming back in, but he will be able to make it on 2 more stops. So these drivers, really trying to find where that balance is. But I tell you what, looks like he's going to be bringing it into the pits here. See if he can get it woed up in time. Oh, I don't know. He got it woed up, but looked a little iffy. We'll find out if he sits on pit road. I tell you what, though, speaking of drivers keep your eye on, how about this guy? Fastest lap of the race, last lap, 24:23. And with that, guess who has just moved legit into second place? I think the overcut really cost Graham Bunyan. We didn't see whether he had a problem leaving the pits. He did not appear to have a speeding penalty or anything he had to wait for. But the overcut, I think, really hurting. But now that time by Graham Bunyan, fastest of the race, 24:08. And that is to the drivers in front doing a 24:43 to a 24:57. So you can see Graham Bunyan hauling himself right back on the back of the Oreo machine of Zalesky. Guess I shouldn't mention that sponsor. But nevertheless, like I mentioned before, we're going to at least try to be able to keep these custom liveries through the end of this season. And we'll talk about it after that, but legality reasons why we can't just run any old commercial sponsorship. But back into this battle, it's a 1-2-3 battle as we're starting lap 50. Not quite halfway. Everybody's made their pit stops. And we'll be seeing everybody at least once more before the end of this. As Dan Inch picks up right where he left off. So it's Dan Inch, followed by David Zalesky, Graham Bunyan, Jeff Murray, and James Kennedy, your top five. Jason Lowe, still a lap down. He'll undoubtedly be waiting for that caution to bring him back around, and he'll pick that back up. So we see this battle getting quite tight at the top, but again, I don't expect that either Zalesky or Bunyan is going to be looking to make a challenge. So we're going to take a look a little bit further back here as these two drivers may be trying to make a challenge or possibly work their way to the front together. Got this little grouping. We'll call it a chase group for those of you who watch cycling and we just had the Tour de France. So this will be our first chase group here. I'm trying to get this started. I see some similarities. But Jeff Murray and James Kennedy trying to work together, maybe draft together. They could probably do themselves a little bit more favor if they were able to swap draft. But sometimes, if that's not executed well, it can actually cost you a little bit of time. So these two drivers trying to claw themselves back up, about 4.5 seconds separating them at the moment from the group in front. Take a look further back from that. We've got this Chase 2 group. Inigo Mardones and Howard Livingston. Both of these drivers actually exactly where they started the race, in 6th and 7th. So for them, not a bad race. This is, Livingston was up on the podium, and I know he would like to be there again. He has the pace to do so, but at the moment, he's happy, I think, to just be at this place 55 laps in and with all four corners on the car and have a chance at possibly getting back up there with a yellow flag and rejoining the front. Now, this group, about 14 seconds off of that lead 3. So as we get to maybe about, these are 24.5-second laps. So about another 10 laps or so, or 10 seconds or so. If they lose another 10 seconds, they will be falling a lap down, as we see now. Oh, Dan Inch having to avoid Mike West and slice between them. This giant jumble of cars here, including Will Stearns and Mike West, Manuel Gomez Esteban. This is Dan Inch, your leader, having to work his way through traffic. Not easy to do. Will Stearns not simply moving aside, but Stearns does not need to. He is legit in 9th place and trying to hold on the lead lap. So we see Dan chasing him down. That sounded like somebody may have tagged the wall. Couldn't quite tell. You see all the drivers, looks like all of the drivers are still there. You see Dan not able to get around Will Stearns. Now this, again, is not that uncommon. Saw this in the IndyCar iRacing series when we did that coverage. So you see now Stearns drifting back behind Graham Bunyan. But it's not uncommon for a driver who has good pace to find themselves maybe approaching a lap down and then being lapped, but able to hang with the leaders. And actually that kind of works in Dan's favor, because again, he doesn't have many drivers to draft off of out there. So if he can find a partner that he can sit behind for a minute and save some fuel, that's definitely going to help Dan's cause. So this series just absolutely has its reputation, and it is definitely earning that reputation today, as we're approaching halfway and we've had 0 cautions. Now I hope this isn't the commentator's curse. We can go green flag for another entire race, as that will make, I think, 3. I'll have to do the count after the race, but I believe this would be our 3rd or 4th race that has gone green flag all the way, if we can manage to pull that off. So just to reset, you're watching VirtualRacing.Network live, uninterrupted coverage of the US IndyCar League. It's season 11, round 8. It's the Miguel Macias Sr. Memorial 190 at the Legacy Texas Motor Speedway. Legacy being the older version before the turn 1 and 2 was reconfigured. So very well-known track. These drivers, it's a free track for iRacing. So this is one of those tracks that all of these drivers would have the track and would have done many, many, many races. You're going to race practically every single series in iRacing is at some point probably races this track. And it races so well, as you can see. The driver is able to hold up with other drivers, make passes. Fantastic old racetrack before NASCAR installed their PJ whatever. Up on the top line, as we see James Kennedy getting very high there in the back, and there we also see Manuel Gomez Esteban go. This is actually one of our closest battles. It's Gomez Esteban moving down the inside of Will Stearns. This for 10th place. Gomez Esteban did not get a qualifying time in, so there you can see Murray, who is in 4th place in the green-red livery, following Manuel Gomez Esteban in the green and blue livery there, and trying to thread through that traffic. So this just all part of what you have to do if you're a leader. It's not just, throw it into automatic and go out there and turn left. There's a lot of traffic, a lot of considerations, and even if Dan Ench is out there in front, it looks like a Sunday drive through the park with Miss Daisy. It is not. I guarantee you, there's all kinds of strategy flooding through Dan's mind right now. He's watching his fuel numbers very, very carefully, and more than anything, when the time comes, he's going to have to get defensive, because Graham Bunyan will make that move. It's a question of when. And then in addition, you've got to stay awake the whole time. I mean, you've got to really pay attention to what's happening up the track, as we just saw, where he had to work his way through Will Stearns and Jeff Murray, and Gomez Esteban and a number of other drivers that are fast, can hang on to the lead pack, but you still got to get past them. So lap 71, we're starting here. This is just cranking by, and these two drivers again pulling out a little bit of a gap on David Zalesky, who's sitting currently in third. See the gap there on your screen, with Grant Bunyan's teammate Mike West sitting just behind David Zalesky. West is, of course, 2 laps down, I believe. No, 1 lap down, excuse me. 1 lap down. And okay, so he is 2 laps down, just 2 laps down. And then Jason Lowe behind that is also 2 laps down. Gomez Esteban 2 laps down, and Will Stearns 2 laps down as well. So getting conflicting information between my timing pylon, who's saying they're 2 laps down, and the gap on the screen, which is saying 1 lap down. But we'll go with 1 lap down because it sounds better. So Dan Inch continues to lead. Dan is going to get the bonus point for leading the most laps here. That's something, again, that we haven't been talking about. He's looking strong in that Last Lap Motorsports Alzheimer's.org car. Last race, I know that the last race was one that Dan really wanted to do well for. It just wasn't quite in the cards, but the Alzheimer's.org race, last race, and got to say a good message for the folks at Alzheimer's.org. Again, every time that Dan racing for them just wants to call attention and bring hopefully some more donation money to the Alzheimer's organization by running their name on his livery. And so great thing that Dan does. Donates a little bit of his space for them, and of course he also dealing with that in his life, just bringing awareness that not only those afflicted with Alzheimer's, but those family members who care for those members also affected as well. Graham Bunyan, our series leading driver at the moment by quite a margin. Running in second, and David Zalesky, as I mentioned at the top of the broadcast, bringing himself back into the league for this race. And also, I think if he can stick around for the last 4 races here of the series, he's going to be looking good in the points. Jeff Murray in 4th place, up 4 positions. Great run for him today. He finds himself in position to potentially stay with that lead group and potentially have something to say about this one before it's all over. James Kennedy now running in 5th. And so while we have a moment, I'm not sure if we'll get a chance during the broadcast at the end here. We don't want to miss any action, so let's go ahead and talk about Stick Quick as we stay live side by side here on VirtualRacing.Network. It's Stick Quick. I mean, it says it on the screen. You can really organize anything. Look at it there. It's everything from a hairbrush to a wrench. One of the cool things that I like to do is you can put your razor up in your shower. Makes it easily grabbable and just sticks right up in the corner. It's perfect. Couple of other things that I found. Great thing to put around the handle on your spatula. Hang it up on your oven range hood. It's perfect. Easy to grab. And then obviously in your garage, you can do all kinds of things with these Stick Quick rings. I don't know exactly what to call them individually, but these individual rings, you can do so much. Like anything you can put your mind around and wrap one of these things around. They come in 3 different sizes, all in one pack, and you get all of these different colors you can choose from. So go to stickquick.com. I got mine. You should get yours. I got the green ones because that goes with my paint scheme. But of course, there's blue and red and black. So yellow, multiple colors to choose from. So head on over and check it out as we go back to our race. And again, Just want to bring the focus back to a couple of very important people that this race is, one of which is this race is named after. It's the Miguel Macias Sr. Memorial 190, extended part of the Stick Quick family, and special guy to all the people at Stick Quick. We see Jeff Murray down on pit lane, entering the pits for his final stop. But also thinking about Rick Kelbaugh, one of our regular series competitors and part of the Stick Quick family. And, you know, one of the reasons that Stick Quick is on the name of the league and is talked about each week. So if it weren't for Rick, we probably wouldn't have Stick Quick here. And so it's a great thing. We owe our appreciation to him, and certainly being a great competitor, showing up each and every week. Greatly appreciate it. Of course, our thoughts and prayers are with him and his family. He's not doing well in hospital right now. We hope for a recovery quickly, speedily. We'll see him back in that green and black machine that we've been so accustomed to watching him here on the broadcast. But back to it here. It's James Kennedy who's pitted in, and he's still shown in second place. We'll throw the track map back up there. People's initials in it so you can see where everyone's at. Graham Bunyan inherits the lead. Dan Ench has, of course, made his pit stop as well. So everybody kind of choosing to make their pit stops right around the same time, as we were having a moment of discussion there. Howard Livingston in second. And so we wait for Graham Bunyan to peel off and come into the pits for his final stop. So as you can see right now, it's just Bunyan and Livingston still out there circulating. And West now still shown. He has not pitted. Jason Lowe has not pitted. Dan Ench, the first of the drivers that has pitted for his final time. As we see David Zalesky hanging right on the back of Dan Ench. So when this, as we see, Howard Livingston is now in pit lane, and now Bunyan making his final stop. This will also, I believe, West will be making his final stop, and Jason Lowe sooner rather than later. So we track Graham Bunyan down pit lane, the leader. We'll see whether the overcut strategy and the fuel save strategy continues to work for him. From here on out, it's only 36 laps. He can easily do that, so I don't know that the fuel saving was that necessary, but we'll see how this all works out. He might be short filling. So Mike West now takes over the lead, and Dan Ench goes flying by. Now this is crucial, folks, absolutely crucial. How far off of that pack does Graham Bunyan fall? It's over 2 seconds now. That is a long ways, as we see David Zalesky going high in the corner. And Mike West pulling in from the lead. So Mike will get credit for leading one lap. But Graham Bunyan, 2.8 seconds back. That could be a big problem for Graham Bunyan, as he will need to find some way to haul himself back up to the back end of David Zalesky. Now, if Zalesky and Ench work together, could make it very difficult. We'll watch that gap extremely carefully. 2.7 seconds now to David Zalesky up in front. So we see Dan Ench on our screen. We'll take a look at that gap. Can we see it from the bigger picture? Can't even see it there. So we go aboard the Stick Quick blimp. Take a look at these cars from overhead. This classic D-shaped circuit. Managed all these years by Eddie Gossage. I think he's turning over the reins shortly, if he hasn't done that already. So Dan Ench leading here on lap 93, actually on lap 94 at the moment, with David Zalesky just in front, or just behind him, excuse me, and Graham Bunyan has managed to close a little bit. It's down to 2.3 seconds, as I mentioned. Now, why this is so crucial is if it does not go yellow, Graham is just a little too far back to catch the draft of David Zalesky. He's 2.3 seconds. He's going to need to be within 2 seconds. So if this does not go yellow, then essentially you're looking at the way that it will finish up if Graham cannot quite claw back into David Zalesky's gap. Simply is too far out of drafting range to be able to do it. Now, there are some other tricks. You could encounter a lap car and use their draft to try to gain. And of course, you can always keep your fingers crossed that Zalesky and Ench tangle up at the front, but not likely. Two very experienced drivers. So we take a look a little bit further back. We've got Jason Lowe on the outside of Jeff Murray. And in close tow, Rick Lovison there. Rick Lovison a lap down from this battle. Jeff Murray and Jason Lowe battling for position? No. Jason Lowe is a lap further down than Jeff Murray, so not battling for position there. I see it looks like, so as you saw there, Jason Lowe actually unlapped himself around the outside of Jeff Murray. So still, he's on the same lap as Jeff Murray, but he would need to work himself all the way back around to get up to the front. So Bunyan now has closed it down. We'll see if we can see the gap. There you can see Zalesky. Just behind him, Kennedy, and then just behind that, Bunyan. So, in effect, Bunyan has managed to claw himself back into contention. No surprise. He seems to do it every single week, but brings himself back up to the back of David Zalesky. Hello again. Remember me? Of course, David Zalesky will be a deep sigh. Oh, that guy again. But nevertheless, Graham Bunyan, absolutely the top competitor here thus far in the US IndyCar League as he gets very high exiting the corner. Almost making a mistake, perhaps having a wayjacker setting or something wasn't quite set right for the exit of the corner. Caught some arrow push off of the corner from David Zalesky. Almost tagging the wall. Getting a big run headed through 3 and 4 here. Up onto the start-finish straight. So we've got 24 laps to go out front for Dan Ench. And Ench has managed to do a little trickery himself. He's put one, now coming up on 2 lap cars between himself and Zalesky. Again, if he can manage to keep Graham and Zalesky trapped back behind these lap cars, he may have a chance to run a little bit off the front for Dan Ench. Still a long ways out, but 23 laps to go. If I'm Graham Bunyan right now, I am not loving this situation that I'm in. I really would like to get around Zalesky and try and get around these lap cars as Stearns now drifting back. And there you see Bunyan slicing and dicing, going high in the corner, not able to get around Zalesky. I think he's just waiting for that lower groove to possibly open up. But this is your battle on track right here, as Dan Ench has disappeared off the front, not by too much, by just about a second. A note that Howard Livingston has passed Inigo Mardones. That's for 5th place. So top 5 looking good for the Care Camps machine. And there finally Bunyan works the low side and gets Zalesky coming through 3. And there we see Dan Enge pitting. 20 to go. Not sure if we missed it. Sure if he had an incident. Not really, nothing looks broken on the machine. So we'll watch him here in the pits as Graham Bunyan. Okay, so these are just standard stops. David Zalesky now into the pits as well, leaving Graham Bunyan out on track. So these are your final pit stops. Again, this might have been mitigated a bit had there been multiple cautions, but there were not multiple cautions. And here we see up front, it's Graham Bunyan working Howard Livingston. Livingston's actually shown in 2nd place. So very interesting that this battle going on here as Livingston goes down the lap. Livingston was actually just on the lead lap and now just goes down 1 lap. But Care Camp's machine doing well, and we have a note that Will Stearns has crashed. We're seeing this lady. He is absolutely having an issue there. Looks like he left pit lane. And then I'm not sure what happened. It says he left the pits earlier, so he might very well have had damage entering the pits, and we really can't see what's going on there. Too bad. We can see that one more time. Stearns sitting on pit lane, so he exits the pits. Tries to just get up on the accelerator, and the car just comes around. Fortunately, doesn't drift back out on the track, and he exits back to the pits. So he'll have to deal with the tow. Meanwhile, Graham Bunyan still on track, as is Howard Livingston and Inigo Mardones. And there, a big incident taking out, what did we just see? Mike West, Howard Livingston, Rick Lovison crashing. And this is going to really shake things up. My goodness, I don't know what to say. I see that Mike West, let's go back. Mike West, okay, let's see if this tells the story. We have Mike West, it says entering pit lane, but I think he spins. There we go. So we see Mike West spinning across the track. Nothing he can do about it. We go back to the wider picture. Does he get collected? And they're right in front of Rick Lovison with 2 other cars, including Howard Livingston, getting collected in that. Absolutely a shame for those drivers. They did absolutely nothing wrong as the pace car comes flying out onto the track. We're going to look at that one more time. So unfortunate. We still don't quite understand what caused Mike to have the issue, and we're going to take a look at it from Howard Livingston's point of view. As he comes around turn 4, sees the car stalled in the middle of the straight. It goes up high, it comes back across, and he gets clipped. Nowhere to go for the Care Camps machine at all. Spinning him out. And, yeah, he can't get it refired. He can't quite get it turned around. I don't think that thing's broken. Oh, what a tough day. We're going to take a look one more time. This time, and this was Mike West entering the pits. Okay, so this was the same issue. And from Levison's point of view, just absolutely destroys the car. Absolutely, yeah, just this is one of those moments that we're so thankful that this is, of course, sim racing, because had this happened in real life, this would not be a good thing for any of these drivers. Fortunately, they can all just pop back out at the end of this. Little frustrated, throw down your gloves maybe. If you're wearing gloves, as we see Howard Livingston wrecking up in front. And somehow Graham Bunyan just getting through. Now the lights are off on the pace car. I do want to take a look before. Now, are the lights off on the pace car? I got to look at this one more time. So, folks, through the craziness of this, no, the lights are not off on the pace car. So, did Graham Bunyan pit? I'm going to look back through my notes. I don't believe that Bunyan has pitted. I do not see that he has pitted yet. That's very interesting. I think maybe he thinks he can make it to the end. Or perhaps he's going to come in on this lap. I'm going to wait and see, because this will dramatically affect this. He last pitted on lap 89. So, yeah, I don't think there's any way that he can make it, unless my math is off. Inigo Mardones actually stopping earlier than that on lap 83. So we'll have to see. I don't think Bunyan can make it, but the lights are off on the pace car, so we'll just take a look real quick. So we've got a lap to do it. Apologize on the screen for any slowdowns there. Boy, it took a long time to get that up on the screen. Gotta make it faster. Championship points. This is after 7. Graham Bunyan, your leader by over 100 points, 126 points over Jason Lowe and Dan Ench. Lowe not doing so well today. So we can get that back off of the screen now that we've seen it. But it's really anybody's race here for the end of this one, because quite a lot of drivers there within 100 points of each, actually within 80 points of each other. So second place up for grabs as we are back under green. Graham Bunyan did not pit, so it's either going to be pretty tight, or he's just managed the ultimate strategy. He's managed to get Inigo Mardones and the rest of the field a lap down. This is that yellow flag coming out, trapped the whole field a lap down. And so if Graham Bunyan can make it, this will look like the ultimate strategy call of all time, as Dan Ench was in the position that if it had stayed green, he would have probably resumed the lead and we would have had a shootout for the end. But as it is, damn it, Dan Ench is trapped a lap down, and even though he's shown in second place, he really has no shot at this win unless something befalls Graham Bunyan. But here we see this battle for the lead, as Jason Lowe did take the wave around, and he's now in third. Inigo Mardones in fourth. David Zalesky in fifth. Jeff Murray in sixth. So we settle in for the end of this one. It's not a battle between Graham Bunyan, it's between Jason Lowe, who just set the fastest lap of the race with a 24 flat, and Dan Ench, who's now challenging for second, or challenging for first, right behind Graham Bunyan. Of course, that isn't actually challenging for first, that's just to get his lap back. So some crazy strategy happening here as we see Ench down the inside. Bunyan doesn't have to worry about it, because now Ench is only just getting onto the same lap as he. So we see Ench with Zalesky, who's now managed to fly up behind. He's now in third place. Jason Lowe there you see on the outside of Graham. Oh, and there we see Jeff Murray in the wall. Manuel Gomez Esteban also. And we go yellow with 5 to go. So a reversal as Dan Ench managed to get his lap back, as did David Zalesky, as did Jason Lowe. Managed to get their lap back with that crash from Jeff Murray. Are we going to see, I believe we will see a green, white checkered finish for this one. And unfortunately, it has cost us Jeff Murray, James Kennedy, who was having a decent run today, and Howard Livingston as well. We will go back and take a look at that. See if we can find that very late into it. We'll see if we can back it up. And see if we can tell exactly what happened to Murray. Take a look on board here. Looks like it gets a little stacked up. And Lowe, oh, it looks like Murray tries to go around the long way around the outside as Lowe and Bunyan were almost together. Murray gets it wrong, headed to the outside, and unfortunately Gomez Esteban, his bad luck continues, clipping Murray as Murray goes spinning about. That very unfortunate. We did not see how Kennedy had his crash. Let's go back and see if we can see from Kennedy's point of view what happened. He just caught somebody's car. There you see the accident in front. Kennedy going very, very slow to avoid. And I'm not sure if Kennedy did crash. We had the note. I mean, he did crash because we saw it. Slowing down. Perhaps to let somebody go by. Stopping on track. Very strange things happening here. So he did not actually crash. And then Howard Livingston did not crash. So just coming to a standstill. Perhaps having to let one or more of the drivers go by. So we go back live. And it is Graham Bunyan. Okay, so let's recap here. Remember what I said about 6 laps ago when Graham Bunyan had just pulled off the masterful, it looked like he had clairvoyance guessing when that yellow flag was going to come out because it put him up a full lap, and just as he was getting comfortable with the fact that he had almost an entire lap lead because Dan Ench and David Zalesky, Jason Lowe and Jason Lowe had all worked themselves around him to get back onto the lead lap. He's probably thinking, oh, I got 20 plus seconds, just take my foot out of the throttle. Not so fast. The yellow flag coming out because of Jeff Murray just guessing a little wrong, getting too big of a draft, but now we can see actually, sadly, we will not finish. We needed one more lap of caution. I didn't have my math right, and it looks like Graham Bunyan will finish under caution as your leader here. I really thought we were going to get a chance to go green here, but that was one heck of a strategy reversal, and I'm sure Graham was sweating bullets trying to figure out exactly how many laps of caution we would have. But Graham Bunyan, I think, will take the victory, but it was certainly Dan Ench's masterful drive today. He looked like the card to beat. He was fast and aggressive all day. He was in the lead and very comfortable with being there, fighting for Alzheimer's organization. trying to do something special with it to get some attention for that cause. Of course, David Zalesky running in third, having a very good day. As we mentioned, just really rejoining the league and having a great rejoin. This is exactly what you want. Shake off that rust. Oh, it didn't look like he had any rust at all. I know Zalesky stopping in for the last race and talking with us in the booth, but there's your checkered flag as Graham Bunyan finishes. As you see the other drivers pulling off to the side. Bunyan victorious again in the US IndyCar League. This time he had everybody covered. I don't know how many laps exactly he led, but it wasn't a lot. It was just when Dan Inch basically pulled over to let him go by, or to pull in to go to the pits. But Graham led the ones that he needed to right at the very end, and pit strategy almost being the most brilliant thing that I've seen recently to get himself an entire lap up. It's what you really hope for if you're racing an oval race and you can manage to work yourself on that strategy. But nevertheless, Ench and Zalesky and Lowe working themselves back onto the lead lap, and I think this is going to be a very proud moment for Ench. Dan Ench, third place in the points coming in. So we see Bunyan getting ready to do some celebrations, I imagine, but Ench fighting to get into that second place, and Lowe doing just enough maybe today to stay in second place in the points. There you see Bunyan. Exuberant. I'm sure very relieved to get this win, because it went from a sure thing to, uh-oh, I got to deal with these guys again in a very short second. But fortunately, with the number of laps needed, Graham able to get the victory. And as I mentioned, for Dan Ench, a great race today. He certainly, as Bunyan continues to spin about for the fans, we'll look forward to getting him into the race booth here, in the broadcast booth here, as we wait for this to finally go official. There, it did go official. We can show you on screen the final results. And I'm sure you're shocked, but the Graham Bunyan show continues here on VirtualRacing.Network. It's, oh my goodness, it's been so many times this season already that we've called his name. As Bunyan continues to celebrate on the track. I don't know if he's going to be too dizzy from doing so many donuts. I don't know if he'll find his way to the broadcast booth. He's just trying to burn that engine up. I think they put it in the museum afterwards, so yeah, he doesn't care what happens to that engine. But Bunyan finishes in first. Zalesky and Lowe shown second. I'm sorry, and shown in second. Zalesky shown in third. Jason Lowe shown in fourth. I think this being celebration for Bunyan more than anything, that this is, I think this takes the championship for him. I don't know the exact math, but this would be, I think he could almost sit out the final races and he would still win. Nevertheless, Bunyan, your winner. Ench, Zalesky, Lowe. Mardona is the first driver a lap down. Again, the order getting really shaken up and the laps down being really shaken up by that yellow flag that came out. Fortunately for Ench and Zalesky and Lowe, they had passed just before the yellow came out. They gotten their lead lap back, or got back onto the lead lap. Then you've got James Kennedy, who actually was having a great race. Had to really slow down there at the end. Not sure if he was getting conflicting instructions. And then Manuel Gomez Esteban in seventh. That's actually a great finish, considering he managed to clip, I believe it was Murray in the earlier lap. So not bad to come home in seventh. Jeff Murray in eighth. He was having a great run today. Kind of a shame to see him drift back. Howard Livingston, ninth place. Let me see. Graham, not done with celebrations yet. Really trying to send off the fireworks here in Texas. Show his appreciation for Miguel Macias Sr. This, of course, being Miguel Macias Sr. Memorial. So, see the remaining drivers on the screen. We'll see if we can get... take a look and see if anybody stumbled into our booth. We do. We have... let's go ahead and talk to Jason Lowe, who's with us here in the broadcast booth. Hey, Jason, can you hear me?
Yeah, loud and clear.
Hey, Jason, first and foremost, I know your thoughts and our thoughts here at VirtualRacing.Network, the whole league, our thoughts are all with Rick Kelbaugh and family at the moment. And of course, you know, we're hoping for his recovery quickly and hope that everything is going well there. But Jason, you had one heck of a race today. It was up and down and then up at the very end. And we thought you might have a challenge. You even had an incident today, but you recovered from that. Thought you might be able to challenge there at the very end, but just needed one more lap of yellow to get that out of the way so you could go challenge for green. But still great to come home in fourth.
Yeah, I was very fortunate to have that happen. When I went through the infield early in the race, I got under tray damage. I was about 0.4 of a second slower once the tires got anywhere on them at all. So I wasn't really a contender. I just, at the very end, I had fresh tires. I probably had 3 to 4 laps I could stay with those guys. And unfortunately, I pretty much caused the last caution. I got up high off 2, and Jeff was going for that spot. And while we didn't really make contact, he was trying to avoid me and got into the outside wall. So honestly, it's on me, even though we didn't hit. It was my action made him react that way. So I apologize to him. I apologize to the other drivers in the league. I got loose and I was trying to stay away from Graham, who was a lap ahead of me. So very, very happy to finish fourth. All of our thoughts are with Rick. All I know is that he had to go into the hospital, and I know he's just facing something tough, so we're all going to have a thought for him and Mr. Macias, who this race was dedicated to, and his family. So thank you for everything you do, Trevor. I'm going to let you talk to the podium guys, and thanks everybody for watching.
Absolutely. Your series defending champion, Jason Lowe, thank you for joining us. Good luck with the rest of your season, of course. Appreciate you stopping by here in the booth. And of course, for any of you who are out there that would like to get involved with the US IndyCar League, make sure to look up Jason Lowe over on iRacing. And then you can also, if you'd like to apply potentially for the end of this season or next season, go ahead and shoot that over to them through iRacing. So also in the booth, we have with us our third place finisher, David Zalesky. Dave, you there?
Yes.
Hey, great to have you, Dave. You sat out last week there at Gateway. I know it was rough, but you managed to not only come back this week with a strong finish, but you were up there the entire race. How did it feel to run at the front? And of course, also I'm beginning this. We just talked with Jason Lowe, and well aware, and our thoughts and wishes are with the Kelbaugh family as they're struggling right now and going through some stuff in the hospital. But tell us a little bit about your race there in third, and probably feels pretty good to get a podium coming back into the seat.
Yeah, it was a good run today. Just pretty much followed Dan and Graham around and tried to keep up with those guys. I didn't really have much for them. I was hoping pit stops would play out, but no, it was a great finish today. Awesome finish.
Absolutely. You had that Oreo machine flying high. It looked like you could run anywhere you wanted, up high, down low. Did you have a strategy that kept you in it today? Were you just trying to stay up with the front group and feel safe, or were you just trying to stay in the draft with the front group? Was there anything special that you were doing to try to stay up there in the front?
No, nothing special. I figured if I could stay in the same sequence as Dan and Graham, or at least close to it, I would be all right. But that was pretty much my plan for the whole race.
Well, simple plan, but it worked very effectively. You up there in third place, and you keep having these good finishes in the league. These are pretty much championship days. It looks like you're going to be climbing the points again, so you must feel pretty good to get a strong finish. Looking good for the end of the season. You're going to be able to come back and do some more races, or do all the rest of the races with us?
That's my plan anyhow.
All right. Well, that sounds good. Of course, we're looking up on the screen. Our next race is going to be at Phoenix, Las Vegas. Some tracks you're looking forward to?
Yeah, they're not bad. Not one of my favorites, but we'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens. Easy come, easy go. It's David Zalesky here. Just easy come, easy go. Getting a third place finish at Texas. Actually, not so easy to do. Congratulations, David. Great to see you. Thanks for stopping by the booth, and good luck with the rest of your season. Thanks, man.
Appreciate it. Thank you. And I'd like to send a shout out to Rick Kelball and well wishes and prayers to him and his family, and Miguel Macias Sr.'s family. And we're happy that they're part of this league. You
bet. Great members of the league. Always love seeing Rick out there on track with his green and black machine. Appreciate your well wishes. Thanks again, David. Very much appreciate it. So up next, let's talk to Dan Ench, who is finishing a glass of water there, getting cooled down after a long run. Hey, Dan, are you there in the booth?
Yeah, I got you, Trevor.
Hey, Dan. So I don't know. We saw everything out of you today. This was, I'm so used to seeing you being the guy who's in sort of second place or fifth place or whatever, just kind of doing your fuel saving and holding back and waiting for your time to shine there at the front. But today was a total reverse strategy. We saw the owls.org machine up in the front, battling. And now, of course, as we get into that, as we've been mentioning with the other drivers, and we mentioned at the top of the broadcast, Mr. Kelbaugh and his family dealing with some issues in the hospital. So some difficult feelings while you're out there on the racetrack for sure. And all of our thoughts and wishes are with him and his family. But as far as your race goes, it was all over the board. And then I thought you were going to get trapped a lap down, but then you weren't a lap down, and we thought you were going to challenge for the lead, but you got second. So great job. Tell us about your race, Dan.
And again, our thoughts are with Rick Kelbaugh and family right now, and we also want to make sure we thank the Macias family. Am I pronouncing that right? Macias or Macias?
I believe they'll accept either. I've been calling him Macias,
okay.
but either way, just the thought, I'm sure, is what counts here.
Yeah, anyway, the leaders of Stick Quick put this race on in memory of Miguel, and we want to give a shout out to them too, and he was a great guy. As far as my race goes, in practice yesterday, we were noting that a lot of people were having a hard time, especially coming into the tri-oval up front with the high side. A lot of people were snapping down from the high side. There was a lot of wrecks in practice, and I kind of went by that philosophy that we were going to have a lot of wrecks today. Well, of course, I forgot what league I'm in, and nobody really wrecked until the very end. So I decided to just go for it and let the yellows fly where they may, and just keep myself up front as much as possible, maybe even pick up some bonus points, which I did, so I'm happy about that. Graham is just, they have bigger rabbit's feet down under, because they're not rabbits, they're wallabies or kangaroo or something he's got in his pocket. And congratulations to him for his sixth win in a row. But I did everything I could today. I went a little bit different and just kept my foot on the floor and to see how fast I could go. Had a great time, though. It's nice to lead for a change.
You were in the lead a lot, and I was thoroughly confused, but happy to see the purple and white machine up there. But then he, as you said, his Graham's rabbit's foot. You can't predict one race to another. It seems like he can work his way up to the front on skill, and then he gets this magic, I get a lap for free out of everybody. So you were caught a lap down, you worked your way back onto the lead lap, and again, if there had just been one more lap, you would have been able to have that shootout for the end. But instead, you still managed to solidify second. You looked great in the Last Lap Motorsport Alls.org machine, and really acquitted yourself well. This possibly I don't know, you were close to Jason Lowe in the points in third, but I don't know if this is going to be enough to get you into second, but it's getting real close, and you're starting to look like you're on championship form here, Dan.
Yeah, I think we're just going to be battling the rest of the year for bridesmaid. That's the way it is when Graham's in your league. So
We'll
have fun. We'll have fun.
It seems like Graham's...
it's his year.
It's his year. I mean, he's won... This is his 6th race that he's won.
In a row, yeah.
It's crazy. But for second place, you were second in the points last season, and so to see you challenging for second... it's a tight battle, a lot of drivers within about 80 points of each other, so anything can happen at the end. And I guess in the meantime, you just hope that Graham's computer falls in the ocean or something down there.
I don't think it would matter at this point. Like you were saying earlier, I heard you comment that he could sit out the rest of the year and still win the championship. I'm pretty sure that's the way the math is going to work out now. But yeah, I'll be glad to battle with Jason and David and all those guys for second place. We're still having fun out there. We're having good battles and good driving all the way up and down the line to go that far without a yellow.
Absolutely. And again, there was just those 2 cautions at the end. Pretty simple stuff. One mistake from one driver, and the second one was just a racing incident where Jason Lowe got a little loose, and then Jeff Murray couldn't quite figure out how to get around that quick enough. But anyway, great run from you today, Dan, and we look forward to seeing you next week. You look forward to Phoenix?
Oh, yeah, looking forward to Phoenix. I always like running there. And when you do interview Graham here in a second, be sure and tell him he sucks.
Well, he may be listening. I'm sure he loves your joking. Oh, can you? Is Graham there? Graham, can you hear this?
Oops.
I certainly can. I love you, Dan.
We'll see you, Trevor. Thanks for what you do, too.
Thanks, Dan. We'll see you again next week. Appreciate you stopping by. So, Dan Ench there challenging for second with Jason Lowe, who has had an up and down year, both of them, but in championship contention. If it weren't for the man that you just heard from, Graham Bunyan. Graham, you're there in the booth, and we just want to say it looked like it was Dan's day to kind of shine, maybe David Zalesky's day to kind of shine a little bit, but you managed to pull, as Dan Ench said, a kangaroo-sized, at least, rabbit's foot out of your rear end, and it looked like you're going to beat everybody by an entire lap. Got a little closer there at the end, but boy, what a day you had, Graham. Congratulations, and again, we've already been mentioning it, but of course Rick Kelbaugh going through some major things in the hospital, and he and his family, our thoughts and prayers are with him, and hoping that everybody gets well. But you had an amazing day on track, and tell us all about it, please.
Yeah, no, well, firstly, to Miguel Senior, Memorial Day, and to the Stick Quicks family, and also to Richard and his family. They're really battling hard at the moment, COVID and other things that are going on with them. So shout out to those guys and a speedy recovery for Richard and his wife. I think I just wanted Dan to get a taste of what it's like to lead a race, I think.
Well,
no.
I'm not listening. Go right ahead, Graham. Whatever you want to say.
Cool. Did it feel good?
Actually, yeah, it felt great.
That's great. No, well, you know what? The whole thing was there. We did a bit of fuel crunching numbers there yesterday in practice, and then during the race, I had a pretty good fuel crunching number. AJ, who was helping out pretty good, and the whole idea was to let somebody get in front. It just happened to be Dan, and my whole race for the first 2 stints was going to be fuel save. Worked out well because it was a green run, and once I'd done the pit stop, I had enough to do 3 extra laps after the end of the race, so I was good to the go. That was it. It was going to be just a race for second and third place, I think. But look, it is what it is. It's a couple of cautions come out at the end. They're just very unpredictable. You don't know what's going to happen. And I think if there had been that extra lap left, I think I could have held on if I just ran that low line, because it is pretty dicey on the high side. So pass it on the high side's a little bit dicey. But I think I could have just held on. But it would have been good to see.
You bet. I mean, definitely. Well, I was kind of wondering, in some of the Texas races that I've done in the IndyCar, that high line does work, and you can get a great run off the high line. If you can hold it through 3, you basically have the pass done on the outside of 4 if you're on the high line. But Dan was mentioning in his interview that perhaps with this setup, it was maybe a little tricky on the outside with some snap oversteer exiting the corners, so maybe the high line wasn't working. Nevertheless, kept you pretty honest out there, Graham. You had to really find a way by if you were going to, perhaps on the inside line. And then, the overcut was not working for you. If you were fuel saving and you got just enough laps, which it sounds like you hit your numbers, and that's why we're trying to figure out at the end if you could even make it. But you managed to hit your numbers.
I had plenty of laps left in the tank.
Well, then there you go. And Dan, everybody else had to pit, and you were just waiting, and that caution certainly saved you the extra fuel. But we thought it was Dan's day. He looked like he had the speed. He looked like the overcut. You were over 2 seconds back at one point. You were struggling to claw your way back up to Zalesky, or maybe it just seemed that way. But if they had been able to maintain that 2+ second gap, you wouldn't have been able to draft back up there. Could have looked very different. Nevertheless, Graham, we're talking to you again after the end of this race, and Dan says it's 6 in a row. Is that right?
If Dan says it's 6 in a row, it's 6 in a row. I haven't actually looked, but I think it is.
That's just astounding to do in a fixed setup series. So, I mean, Graham, we just run out of superlatives to talk about, but you are in the lead by a commanding amount now, well over 100 points. We believe that you may have clinched this championship. How good does it feel 8 races into a 12-race championship to be that far up on everyone else?
It feels good because, I wreck out in the next race. It's always handy to have those numbers as a buffer. So I'm not sure if I have taken it out yet. I don't know. I'm not good on the number crunching side of things. That's why I have people talk in my ears. But it must be pretty close to the end.
Well, either way, your dominance on display here each and every week. Maybe you'll finally feel like you can take your foot off the gas and look around and enjoy yourself a little bit. You got your head so far down and you got people in your ear. You're also serious about this, Graham, and that's how you're doing so well. But now that you're in the points so far in the lead, you just take your foot out and kind of wave at the fans as you go around the track. Just take it easy for once.
Yeah, but once a racer, always a racer. Yeah, I know. It's I don't know. Look, it's a great race. It's always good to race with these guys, and it's good to race with Dan and that up the front, and Dave. Dave's come a long way as well, and I don't think Dan, if it had went green, I don't know whether Dan or Dave would have finished either second. It would have been a good race between those two.
It really would have been, and of course, I try not to think of what could have been because we love those last lap shootouts for the win. But nevertheless, it's in store for next week, I'm sure. So we'll take a look at the schedule one more time up on the screen. You got a couple more kind of similar tracks, to be honest. You got Phoenix, which is flatter, and then you've got Las Vegas Motor Speedway, which has a little bit more banking. So we'll see a little bit more of this kind of action on the screen. So you looking forward to these upcoming races? Some of your favorites?
Yeah, Phoenix. I've always done well at Phoenix, and I've always done well with both of them. But I think Phoenix will be tough for some of the guys. It can be a tough track. I think we're going to the old configuration, so
right. Yeah, the Legacy.
See how it is. Yeah, I think it's the Legacy. Is that right? Yes, it is. No. Yes. Yep. Cool. Yeah. So I don't know. It should be good.
Should be good. Should be a lot of fun, and I think qualifying will mean a lot there. Track position going to mean a lot there. Kind of difficult to pass at Phoenix. But as we say each and every week, it's been absolutely awesome having you with us in the league, and you're a benchmark for all these competitors to try to beat each week, not only for pole position, but for the race win. You seem to have that lucky rabbit's foot tucked away back there, or the horseshoe or whatever. but you're able to do it each and every week. This week, narrowly avoiding a couple of incidents, but also executing strategy perfectly, having plenty of fuel at the end. Graham, it's a pleasure to have you on here and talking to you, and congratulations on your win, leading the championship in a clear margin. I'm going to go ahead and congratulate you on winning this championship, just because I think if you show up and park the car, you'll probably win it. So congrats, man. It must feel pretty good. You got 3 more races to just have fun and go out there and race.
But I mean, you can't focus on that. You still got to go out and race. So it's it's not over until the season's over. So.
So he says it so coyly, but deep inside he's smiling and drinking champagne. Graham, pleasure having you on again. We'll see you again next week. Maybe we'll talk to you in the winner's circle again. Maybe not. Appreciate it. Good luck with the rest of the season.
Thank you very much, Trevor, and thanks for everything you do. And once again, just a shout out to the Stickwick family and Richard and his wife, and speedy recovery to everybody, and RIP to Miguel there.
You bet. Absolutely. Both of them in our thoughts. Thanks again, Graham. And so that's going to do it for us here at VirtualRacing.Network. You were watching Season 11, Round 8 of 12. It was at Texas Motor Speedway. It's an excellent race throughout. Lots of strategy playing themselves all out in the last 10 laps or so. The Miguel Macias Sr. Memorial 190 presented by Stickwick. 126 laps of awesome action. We appreciate everybody from around the world joining us live here at VirtualRacing.Network. Next week, we will be, of course, at Phoenix. Then we've got Las Vegas, Michigan coming up, and then our final race at Chicagoland. Make sure to subscribe to the Virtual Racing Network channel for many more coverages of not only the US IndyCar League, but our other series that we cover as well. The IndyCar iRacing series, they'll be racing again next week. And then also the Prime Meridian Racing League, they race on Wednesdays. So like this video, subscribe for more. I'm Trevor Greenfield signing off for this week. We'll see you again next week, 7 o'clock Pacific time, 10 o'clock Eastern time. Bye-bye for now, everyone.